Cool.
Did it work?
I think so. Wow. I have everything now. I can do my poems, and then I can edit them. I'm a genius.
Yeah, a lot of people do that where they'll record things on Zoom and then what they'll do is they will edit it
Yeah.
to make videos of various kinds.
Yeah, I was watching the Zooms all the time now. Like all the choruses, those are fantastic.
The choruses.
Like the choral choirs or whatever that
Oh,
are,
yeah.
and they're beautiful. They're singing great songs, and there's like hundreds of them sometimes. Like all of them kind of, they start with one of them, and then all of a sudden everybody shows up, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really beautiful. It's just really good. They are really organized well. Like it's something that you can do when you're just having time, killing time, as they
So
say.
how did you find out about these like choral performances on Zoom?
Oh, it's on CTV, the news.
Oh, okay.
Do you watch the news?
No,
Ah, you gotta watch the news. I'm watching the news right now. CNN.
I don't have a television, so.
I know, and that's why I keep telling my people, you have to watch the news at least, because news tells you everything. It, to find out the weather is important. Just to
Mhm.
find out just local weather and local stuff about how much um sorry, like the problems with coronavirus IDs, cov ID, is so important now. Like now that Kenny has changed the rules all the time, he basically has set new COVID um, laws and stuff like that, where he's trying to open the companies,
Mhm.
right? And so if he's opening all these companies, you have to pay attention, right?
Mhm.
Because, somebody's coming around who's cut their hair, or whatever.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's weird, right? It's like, yeah,
So
it's Alberta, right? So you don't know what's gonna happen, right?
so
A
how
lot
has your last week been? I've been very curious how your last week has been since we last talked.
uh, and up. I'm up. I'm up right now. Today was good. How was I feeling last week? Last week?
Last time you started really, you were really worried and concerned about your memory, and you were really worried and concerned about just feeling very lonely.
Yeah.
And so you
Yeah.
started in that place, and we kind of talked about that for a bit, and then we moved into doing like just talking about how you've been finding a lot of um, joy in writing poetry.
Yeah. And I finally kind of said, I got to do this. I got to do this project, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and I don't know, what do you think about my poetry?
I think it's good. I think,
Yeah. Martin says he
being quite
likes it.
honest. Okay, well, you know what? It's a really amazing tool for self-expression, and it's great when you have such a good poetic voice like you do, right? Where you're able to use metaphor and use these grander ideas and tie them in.
Yeah. I like them. I like writing. I like writing. And it's therapeutic too, right? So when I can write stuff, it really makes me feel better. And actually, it's nice. It's like nice to have stuff on my calendar.
Hmm, that's a full calendar you have there.
Yeah, well, some of it's not. Yeah, well, Yeah, some of it's not. Like, this is just groceries, but some of it's... And this one, I don't know what. I said I was going to invest money or something, but I did stuff, I did real stuff, and still have stuff to do, but
How does it feel to have all this stuff that you're doing and that you have to do?
it's important and happy. Makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it feels purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
You know how there's a book that says you need to have a purposeful life, and they say God has a purpose for you. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes I feel that I lose my faith sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and that struggle to lose faith is bad. And I really should have more faith in God, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know about Jesus, I don't know about Muhammad, I just know about God. And I feel like I believe in Buddhism, right?
I was going to say, I was pretty sure you're a Buddhist.
Yeah. Actually, I'm an Anglican Buddhist.
Oh, okay.
I was born in England. So. Yeah, so yeah, I'm Buddhist, right? But the thing about being Buddhist is there's one thing that Buddhism says is like, well, you just go your own path, your own way. And if you go one way and then all of a sudden you decide you're not going the right way, you should go that straight path. You shouldn't go left and right. You should go down the straight path. They call it the noble path, right? But the thing that you realize as time goes on is the way you get the noble path is not by yourself. It's friends and family mostly. If you have good friends and you have good family, then you can go down the noble path, right? So that's very simple. There's very simple rules of Buddhism, like not to harm creatures, not to steal, not to lie, not to do right, Emma? My mom's here. Not to. She's the Buddhist teacher. Not to do sexual misconduct. And the final thing is not to do intoxicants. But I used to do some little social drinking. I used to do some dating and stuff like that. But I never actually had intercourse. And uh, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I
So
feel proud now about it, kind of, now that I'm 40
sounds like
years old.
it kept you on that noble path.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's true. That's true. So yeah, I kind of went there, and then I was a liar a lot of times. When I was a kid, I was a liar, and I used to steal. Right, Emma? I was a liar and a stealer, right? Yeah. It's coffee. Want some coffee? It's my. You see my coffee? It's my Alberta. You see it?
It's a ginormous coffee cup.
Yeah. It's my.
Yeah, his brand
Very,
is in the back.
the
And
Bears. It's the
Yep.
Bears. The Bears. My mom is great. She makes me coffee.
So what does this noble path look like? Because you say it's a straight path.
Simple. Yeah. Have a simple life. Do the right thing. That's all. Everybody knows what the right thing is. Everybody knows what black and white is sometimes. In essence, they know black and white.
Mhm.
And this is the thing that black and white you learn when you are 6 years old. You know, I'm actually reading these two books. Well, I've read this book like
Oh, the
3 or 4
Phantom.
times, right? I read this book 3 or 4 times,
Mhm.
and I bought it on Kindle, and I bought it on Audible too. And I'm like, sometimes I think that every human being should read the Phantom Tollbook. Like, I think that it's the greatest book ever for education in the
Mhm.
history of the world. And I learned it in grade 5. I didn't learn it. I learned it by a teacher, and he read it.
Mhm.
And reading by another person is such an important, it's just a pleasure, to have, I don't know, someone else listening and you just saying your emotions and stuff like that. Sometimes, if you really care about something and you read it with some like focus,
Mhm.
and you understand it, you can really emote. You can put some emotion. See, I have the Warrior of Light. I'm looking at.
I've never heard of that one.
Have you read The Alchemist?
No.
Ah, okay. Put that on your list.
My list? The Alchemist?
List of this guy,
What's the author?
Paulo, Paulo, Paulo Coelho. He's a Brazilian. He's a Brazilian. He's having COVID problems in Rio de Janeiro.
And so, what is Warrior of the Light about?
Oh, it's about just. This is basically, it says short notes on accepting failure.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Embracing life and rising to your destiny.
Hmm.
And it's short. What else do you need from a book?
So, what
And
has it taught you?
I don't know. I just read these things and it's fantastic. I just think I'll read you one of them.
Okay.
Because if you're a warrior of light, this is what you say. The warrior knows that there are occasional pauses in the struggle.
Hmm.
There is no point in forcing things. He must have patience and wait for the two sides to clash again in the silence of the battlefield. He listens to his heart beat. He notices that he is tense and afraid. The warrior takes stock of his life. He makes sure that his sword is sharp, his heart satisfied. That faith still burns in his soul. He knows that maintenance is important an action. There is always something not quite right. And the warrior takes advantage of those moments when time stops to equip himself better.
Hmm. That's quite beautiful.
I think so. It's just he writes beautifully. He writes beautifully, and he's I don't know how many like I don't know about
Like,
millions. I'll read about him. Paulo Coelho, born in Rio de Janeiro in 1947, so after World War II, is one of the best, most influential authors in the world. The Alchemist, Aleph, I haven't read that. Brida, I haven't read that. The Pilgrimage, I've never read it. The Valkyries, Veronica Decides, to die. 11 minutes, sorry. The Zahir, the Witch of Portobello, and The Winner Stands Alone, among others, and have sold over 135 million copies in more than 168 countries, and have been translated into 73 languages. That is amazing. This is a living man. You know what I mean? Living legend.
And so, is there anything that he speaks of that really resonates with you?
A lot of it resonates for me. It's how I want to be, the warrior of light. I want to write my book, right? And I keep saying that I need to write my book. I need to write my book. When's I going to write my book? I'm never going to write my book. The book is never going to come. But it's slowly coming with my journal and things like that. But now I realize that just talking with people is quite useful, just to record it and then tell people, this is what I did and this is what I did, And like with Zoom, I kind of, in my brain, it just clicked in and said, I can Zoom people and we can connect and we can like say conversations, and we can do all of that with 3, 4, 5 people even, and you can try to understand their purpose and their personalities and their humor and these kind of things. And when you have that tic-tac-toe, you learn so much. It's about tic-tac-toe. I'm a tick type person.
Well, it sounds like it's still about connection, right? For you, it's still about connection. It's still about having people help you and you help them in kind of guiding them towards this path, right? And being kind of the best you and them being the best them.
Well, I hope that. Like I hope that I'm helping people more than hurting people. Do you know what I mean? That's all I want, is that. I understand. I think of myself as a truth seeker. But just saying that's what I am. I'm a truth seeker. I'm trying to seek truth, right? That's Buddhism. Buddhism basically is be a truth seeker. You find the truth, and if it's true, then go down that path. And that is science right now. Then science says, you're burning your whole planet. That's the science. Don't today Trudeau's like, okay, we're not going to shoot people with guns. And I thought, that makes sense. I like, in Buddhism it says, don't kill living creatures. And look how many people killed in Nova Scotia. It's absurd. This life is absurd, and people say, oh, I'm crazy. But you know what? I'm not crazy. Other people are crazy. Like these alcoholics, they're helpless. They get crazy. They hit their wives. This kind of things, this anger is just it's a factor of that intoxication, and all these different 5 principles that are of Buddhism, right? Those 5 principles. When you have those 5 principles, you can actually make one kind of principle, and that is to go the golden path, the golden route. And there's 3 Dhamma, right? You know the triple gem? What is the triple gem? The Dhamma,
Buddha, Dhamma.
Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Buddha, he was the creator of Buddhism. Dhamma is the teaching of Buddha. And Sangha is the monks and the bhikkhus, the nuns and monks who have decided, I'm not going to do sexual misconduct anymore, and I am going to simply have a simple life. I'm going to, in Buddhism, you don't actually have to stop. You're not supposed to to pay for a craving, like what I mean is, like, craving is the worst thing that humans have. Everyone craves, everybody craves to have another car, or everybody wants a bigger house, or everybody wants more money. But these monks, they have decided, what we can do is we give our knowledge. And for doing knowledge, I am going to do something more important. And that is, I'm going to help people. You know what I mean? And if he's and the monks, they help so much to me, and they have actually given me dane, which in Buddhism it's called danis, when you give food to the monk,
Okay.
because it's called alms, I guess, right? When you give alms, and so when you're not supposed to actually make your own rice and stuff like that. Your followers are supposed to give you that food, because in the way of Buddha, when he was a Buddha, he would never actually he wouldn't eat for a long time unless there is someone in the village who would donate him some food, like some no fish, no no meat, just rice and lentils and beans and vegetables, and that's his life. And it was such a simple life. But the beauty thing about his life is he basically he created an incredible book. See, this is the book. Can you see it?
It's just focusing. There we go. Now I see it.
Yeah. It's the Dhammapada.
Yeah.
The Dhammapada. The sayings of the Buddha.
Okay.
Yeah. The sayings of the Buddha. And it's small, but I'll read you. I'll read you something from the Dhammapada. Blessed is the understanding among those who follow it, and blessed is their determination. And blessed are they who revere the man who awakes and follows the way. They are free from fear. They are free. They have crossed over the river of sorrow. Short, but the book is short. But it's filled with knowledge, And I want to have a book like that, that's short, but a million people, listen to this speaking from me, right? Like in 1998, I went crazy. I went bipolar. I didn't sleep for 3 days. I was singing Imagine all the time, but I had a purpose, and I've still had that same purpose since 1998. That's 22 years of me having some purpose, and that purpose was to create a church. And I don't create. I'm like Jesus in the fact that I created a church, and I don't care if I die, because even if I die, I people will remember me. You know what I mean? People will remember me. Some people will say I'm anti Satan or something, but I know who I am, right? I know that I'm just a sinner, right? And everyone sins, and Jesus sins, and people think that Jesus is perfect and Virgin Mary is perfect, and you know, it's just stories. Even the Buddha is he tells stories, and Muhammad he tells stories. It's all from Moses and his Old Testament. The Abrahamic, the Abrahamic um, religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, that's taken over all of the population. But the other religion is Buddhism, and that's the fourth way. You can go, or Hinduism too. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Buddhism is the fifth, I think. It's oh no, it's the fourth. Buddhism, no, Christianity, Islam,
Mhm.
Hinduism, Buddhism, the fourth. And if you look in this book, see this book, right?
Mhm.
This book has a chapter in it, and I will just check it. The Old Testament
Mhm.
starts with Genesis, Sega Genesis, Sega Genesis, Exodus.
Mhm.
So they leave. Then Leviticus, which is all these laws that everybody's supposed to do. That never nobody does that anymore, but they care about all these rules, like no pigs, no, you know what I mean, like kosher. Some food is supposed to be kosher, but that was because Moses said that because those animals were just not clean, and they were at that time it wasn't possible to be eaten properly, right? But the fourth is the Buddhism, and the fourth is Numbers.
Mhm.
Numbers is the fourth book of the Bible,
Okay.
and I am full of numbers. I'm all about zeros and ones. I'm a digital type person.
What do you mean that the fourth book is Numbers? I'm just trying to think because I don't think there's a part of the Bible called Numbers.
Oh yeah,
There.
yeah, I have it. I have it right here. Contents of the Old Testament:
Yeah.
Genesis,
Yeah.
Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Then
Oh,
Joshua,
interesting.
then Judges, then Ruth, then Samuel 1, Samuel 2, Kings 1, Kings 2, all the way up till Malachi, Malachi. That's the Old Testament. I don't even believe in Old Testament. I believe in the New Testament, though. I'm not a big Old Testament type person. But I'm a New Testament person because I like Jesus. I think he's a good guy. I think Jesus is a good guy. I think Muhammad is a good guy. I think Buddha is a good guy. Buddha was first, right? And I think Jesus probably traveled to see the Buddha.
Mm.
That's what I believe. Or somehow Buddha's teachings has taken to Christianity, and they follow a lot of the Buddhist rules in Christianity. But Moses also was a good man too. And Moses was also a holy man. But I don't know. I can't say if he really opened the Red Sea or whatever. I don't really believe that. I I'm not. Sometimes they want to create books. People want to make books. You know what I mean? They just want to make stories, fairy tales, and these fairy tales they become news. They become the news, and you don't watch the news. You don't watch the good news. It's the problem. That's the problem.
So
I don't see the good
what do the various holy works of each of these religions, what do they tell you for how you are supposed to, you specifically, improve your life or help yourself?
What does the I don't really need to read these books actually. I have this book too actually. Someone gave me this book, right? I haven't read it. I just watch the YouTube nowadays. It's my brother. It's Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
How are you?
Hello.
Hi. I'll call you back then, okay, Leslie?
Oh, all right. If you like.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Talk to you later.
Yeah. What were I saying about Mormons?
Or you're just showing me that you had the Book of Mormon.
Oh, okay.
And I was just asking about what these belief systems tell you about how to improve your life. You specifically, not a global you, but you specifically.
That's the funny thing is, I know what I know. I am what I am. Unlike Popeye. Since 1998, I've known exactly. You know this phantom toll booth? In grade 5, I knew the right things because I read this book.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really need, I just need this book. This is my Bible. This is my Bible. Okay? Nobody reads this book. I tell Teal, this is my favorite book. This is the best book. And one child who went to, with Old Skona, I gave it to my my friend Mike Che, and his wife Amy Sutley.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Che and Amy Sutley, they got married, and they had a son who's called Xander. I think he's in grade 5 now. I'm not exactly sure when he was, but he got read by from my friend Mike Che to Xander, and that is the proper way to learn a book. Is not how you look at it and stare at the book. You listen to it. You listen to it and then read it.
Mm-hmm.
You audible and then you Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can caption things and record things and videotape them and all this stuff. You can watch it over and over and over and over again. But back in the days, you just read. Nobody could read any in the old days. In the old days, all you had was, and I'm not sure. They have 10 commandments. That I kind of believe that because they took those 10 rules and they put in a big slab and they chiseled in these things. That makes sense to me actually. But some things I don't make sense. Think that they make no sense. But this book, The Phantom Tollbooth, it makes sense to me because it's science. It's science. And the book is about science, really. And are you going to read that book?
I have read it before.
The Phantom Tollbooth?
Yeah, I've read it. And I think they made a movie of it too, and I think I've seen the movie.
Ah,
well.
yeah, it's a good movie too. I enjoyed it.
It's been a while since I've read it, but I do know I've read it.
Yes, it's a great book. I think it's a grade 5 book that everyone should read.
Okay.
That's like it should be part of the curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a funny thing to put in English language arts, but in language arts they put Hamlet, but they don't show how important the humor and the knowledge that you learn from that book.
From Hamlet?
Phantom Toll. You're joking? You make a joke of me? Come on. Yeah, Phantom is hilarious. It's a hilarious book. But while you're laughing, you're learning. And that's the most important thing. You learn to love and laugh. Huh?
I think that's very valuable. That's how a lot of people should live their life, is to learn and laugh.
Yeah, I think so. If more people just loved to learn, now that I've learned all I need to learn in grade 5. Yeah, it's like what is that quote that they said? It's all I needed to.
Everything I need to know I learned in kindergarten.
Kindergarten. Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem. People are in. Well, my niece is in kindergarten, and she's a fantastic person.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows what's going to happen when she's 18? You never know, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's these things that if you can, most kids, they learn good things and bad things from their parents. And if you don't respect your elders, you don't respect your teachers, you don't respect your parents, then it's the worst thing that happens. And I'm happy with my parents. I've had my good days and bad days with my parents, but I've realized that I have respect for them and my knowledge from them, you know? And that is important because if I didn't have that type of knowledge, I wouldn't have gotten all the way to Google. Now, 1998, Google's here, and I'm done. I'm done with absolutely remembering anything anymore. It's like I don't want to read. Honestly, I don't want to do anything anymore. I just sit down and watch TV, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm retired, you know? Once in a while, I write some poetry.
I think you have a lot of things to write poetry about, and I think I would be very curious to see what poetry you write when you're channeling maybe some of the feelings that you struggle with, right?
Yeah.
You know, to find that way of making sense of them and communicating them, because that's the most powerful poetry, in my opinion, is the stuff that speaks your truth.
The dismal days and are sometimes truthful.
Well, yeah, the stuff, as I said, speaks your truth, speaks what is going on for you.
Yeah. It's makes sense. It really does make sense.
So we're almost at the end of our time. How you feeling at the end of our chat today?
Oh, it's always great to see you, Sarah.
Make sure my laptop doesn't fall when I move it. Okay. Ugh. So when do you want to talk next? What do you think?
I don't know. Another week or 2 weeks? What do you like? You feel it? You're busy?
I'm fairly busy, yeah. Do you want to try for 2 weeks? And if you need me before then, you let me know and we can schedule something in.
Okay. What day is that?
That's the 15th. Did you want this same time or a different time?
Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. Do you think the question is, yeah, I think 4 p.m. Sarah.
I almost wrote my own name on my calendar. You said 4 p.m. Sarah, and I'm like 4 p.m. Sarah. Whoa, no.
You do that. I do that too.
Do you want to do it by Zoom again?
Yeah, we'll do Zoom again because who knows how what's going to be in the next. It's 21st century. You can do
Exactly.
whatever you want now. You can do everything. You don't need Jesus. You just do it yourself. All right.
Okay, well, it's good talking to you, and I'll talk to you later, okay?
Okay. Take care.